All right, guys, and I'm Ted, and we're still discussing the amazing life, adventure, and career of Alcibiades. And now, Alcibiades, after rehabilitating his public image, making up for the cloud of suspicion that hung over his head for the desecration of the Herms and his religious impiety, and pretty much after shoring up Athenian interests in the Aegean world, he sets out again to one secure more money from Persia and bring the rebelling city members of the Delian League under Athenian control, um, and also to pretty much check the Persian activities in the Aegean Sea. And so Alcibiades, he goes to Greece to speak with the Persian satrap, and he leaves not a general because they didn't want any other senior or key military member personnel to upstage him. He leads one of his friends, a man named Antiochus, and Antiochus was he wasn't a general. He wasn't even an officer. He was a helmsman, basically an NCO in the Athenian fleet, and he leads Antiochus in charge of his naval affairs while he goes out on his business, and he gives Antiochus one order to not in any way engage the Peloponnesian or Spartan fleet. And Antiochus, he did not obey this order. He attacks he doesn't attack, but he's lured into battle at Notium, where the Peloponnesian fleet just defeats the Athenian fleet, and Alcibiades he's blamed for this. He blame it, it's really a fact that he shouldn't get the blame, but then he should get the blame because he left a non-commissioned officer in charge of the Navy. He didn't leave a general. He left a non-commissioned officer, a friend of his, in charge of the Navy, and he pretty much blamed for pretty much brought up on charges of incompetence, and he's forced yet again to flee. He's exiled, and this time, because he's sort of on the outs with the Persians, because he misled them on what his intentions were. He's sort of on the outs with the Persians. He's out of Athens again, and he can't go back to Sparta. So he joins up with the Thracians, and the Thracians were the Greeks and the Macedonians would refer to them as barbarians. They're the sort of free living, wild living, sort of free, good times having people of the Hellespontine region. And the Hellespontine region is basically where Constantinople is. It's where Southeast Europe and Asia Minor almost connect. It's pretty much think of it as the Black Sea Aegean region. That whole region right there, basically centered on where Constantinople is. Okay, and so he's up there and he joins them, and he's Alcibiades. So one, he adopts all their mannerisms. He starts to wear the blue paint, sticks his hair up in this sort of weird fashion with mud, riding around on horseback. Just pretty much adopting their entire mannerism, being a chameleon. And this is what Alcibiades does. He attaches himself very quickly and successfully onto whatever group that he's operating with, and everything comes to a head with Alcibiades' actions with Thracians, and also his machination to return to Athens when towards the close of the war. He comes across the Athenian commanders, and he's been observing the Spartans. He's been observing the Spartans in their naval operations, and he's sort of put off by what he's seeing. So he rides into the camp of the Athenian naval commanders, the Athenian generals, and he says, "Hey." He tried to warn them. He tried to give them some advice, saying, "Hey, I don't like what the Spartans are doing. Their their actions are like a bit shifty, a bit shady. Be careful." And the Athenians, on one hand, they're still pretty much enraptured with Alcibiades, but they don't want to be linked to Alcibiades, because if they listen to Alcibiades and his advice pans out, well, then all credit goes to Alcibiades. But if Alcibiades' advice is bad and it fails, then the blame won't go to Alcibiades. The blame will go on them, and it will be compounded with the fact that they exercise military ineptitude and that they listen to Alcibiades. So they banish him. They tell him never to come back. They say, "Hey, it's nice to see you. Don't come back." And they're later defeated, and their defeat signals the end of the Peloponnesian War. It signals the fall of Athens militarily. And Alcibiades remarks that, "Oh, I could have saved them if they only listened to me," and he simply rides off with his cavalry, and he's really again in dire straits, because he could have worked things out. If the Athenians had won the war, he could have worked things out, maybe engineered another homecoming. But there's no way the Spartans are going to allow Alcibiades back into the Greek world. So Alcibiades, he leaves his Thracian friends and he ventures over again into Asia Minor. And this time, he uses the satrap there to get into contact with the great king, and he begins to pal around with the great king. And the great king says, "Hey, you betrayed me. You betrayed me. You used me to further your own interests, but I still like you. But there are a lot of things that I have to take care of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to this little village, this little hole in the wall in Asia Minor. Go there. Don't do anything. I'll support you. Don't do anything. Just lay low." And Alcibiades is like, yeah, sure. That's me. I'm the most laid back, laid low guy that you know. He goes to the village, and he does. He lays low. He's taken care of. He's supported. He's trying to engineer his great move to the Persian capital, to the heart the heart of the Persian court. And you can imagine what Alcibiades is going to do. The sort of adventures that will lay on the horizon of Alcibiades at the great king's capital, at the great king's court. But Alcibiades is Alcibiades, and he cannot behave himself. He's always doing something, and he gets involved with the local girl, okay, and things go bad. And one day he's simply laying in bed. He's at his home with the local girl, and our family shows up, and they're making noise outside. They're setting fire to the house, and Alcibiades, and no one can really doubt Alcibiades' courage. His moral character, you can sort of raise a flag on that, but you can't really doubt Alcibiades' personal courage. He did lead military campaigns. He wasn't afraid to bleed for what he wasn't afraid to bleed. He wasn't afraid to fight. And he grabs his weapon, and he runs out, and he tries to fight his way out. He makes his one last stand, a very in his mind heroic stand, and he dies. He's killed in this obscure little village in Asia Minor. And when the news finally hits, people really aren't stunned. They really aren't shocked. It's more of, who would have thought? And that wraps up our lectures on Alcibiades. And never again would there be a figure to emerge from Athens, at least, who would outwardly aspire to the type of things that Alcibiades does. And the life and career of Alcibiades actually serves as one of the motivations for putting Socrates on trial. Socrates will be put on trial shortly after the death of Alcibiades, and his association with Alcibiades will sort of be brought up to say, well, hey, he influenced Alcibiades. How good could he be? He's simply ruining generations. But enough on the trial of Socrates. This ends our lectures on Alcibiades. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Hit like and subscribe to the channel.